So about 2 years ago, I purchased this Leica M3 off of Craigslist, of course. And when I purchased it, it had a little bit of a chip in the leather in the body of the camera, revealing the brown residue. And at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal because it was very small and it was actually hidden underneath the lens. But over time, as I kept on using it a lot more frequently, more and more of it started chipping away until ultimately in one of my recent photo walks, a huge chunk of it just came off of the camera. At that point, I thought it was time to replace the leather. After exploring a bunch of different options, including taking it to Leica and having them repair it, I ultimately decided that this is something that I could do myself. So I wanted to do a video just teaching you how I replaced the leather on my Leica camera, making it look pretty much brand new. So the first thing you're going to want to do is purchase the replacement leather part online. So after doing some searching online in various places, I found a couple sites that sold replacement leather parts for this. So the site that I use is this website called Aki Asahi. I'll put the link down below. But when you first go to this website, it doesn't look like that trustworthy of a website. It looks like a website that was made back in early 2000. And I found this site to be pretty reliable. So just go to the camera section, search for the make and model of your camera by doing Control F. Just make sure that when you look in the specific camera page that you're getting the right piece, because for my particular camera, there are two different ear types that connect the camera strap. My particular camera is called the booty ear strap. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you get the right leather that fits around that piece. The website is pretty clearly marked with pictures so you can determine what type of camera that you have. And after you put the order on that website, you'll personally get an email from the owner of the website with additional details on how to pay for it. And I used PayPal, and the piece only costs $25, which is really cheap. So after you've done that, you've made the payment and gave them your address, you'll receive the part within 5 days. I know I got mine within a week, and it was in this nice little letter from Japan. And you open that up and you have your replacement piece. The next step, once you've got your piece, is to remove the old leather that's currently on the camera. And I found this to be the toughest part of the process and the most painstaking. But what you're gonna wanna do is get a sharp edge blade. I used the box cutter. And you're gonna wanna start where the leather started peeling off and just go around the camera and slowly remove the leather around it using that sharp edge. What you're gonna wanna do is do this in an area that you could easily vacuum afterwards, because I ended up with a lot of little pieces of leather and they were flying all over the place. Some other people, to make this easier, have used a paint stripper. If that's your type of thing, to make it easier, you could do that. Otherwise, I found it pretty easy but tedious to remove the leather without needing to do any of that. Don't forget to remove the leather off the back of the camera as well. That is a completely separate piece, and I found this part to be the hardest. This is where the glue was the stickiest, and I had the toughest time removing the leather off of the back cover that goes over the film. And once you've done that, you're gonna want to take some acetone, and using a Q-tip, you're gonna wanna use that to remove the residue that's currently on the camera. And once you've done that, you are ready to put the new leather piece onto your camera. So what you're gonna wanna do is take the sticky backing off, and the hardest part of this is working it around the two levers on each side of the lens. So you're gonna wanna shoot those through the pre-cut holes and position it before sticking it down. And once those are kind of in place, then you're gonna wanna start stretching it over the camera, go all the way around the corners, pressing it down and making sure that it's sticking all around the camera where it should be. Don't forget the back part. There's a separate square piece that goes over the film cover, which was the hardest part removing, but this is actually the easiest part to get back on. And once you've got that on, you've pretty much got yourself a newly leathered camera. And it feels brand new, and I think this replacement part is much better than the old leather that was on it, because it was kind of drying out and getting slippery, but now I've actually got a little bit more grip on this leather, and it feels like I've got a pretty much a brand new camera. So that is pretty much the tutorial on how to get your Leica re-leathered. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you like these videos, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. So check this out.